Jennifer Rowland. I'm an accountant, a certified public accountant, and I am in between roles right now. I am actually about to get a certified Chief Financial Officer role. So that's the head accountant at that's a conglomerate of media companies. But I recently left Group M. It's a media company, and before that I was with Ernst & Young, a financial services firm and an accounting firm. I was there for 15 years and I was a partner there. I created an audit program around specific streams of revenue related to different contracts and media arrangements, and I was tasked with, over a 3-year period, auditing all the markets. It was over 60, so I traveled to probably over 40 countries in 3 years. Some of the audits I did remotely, but many of them I would hop on a plane, right? I would hop on a plane on a Sunday night, or usually Sunday night, land on a Monday morning, and then go to work. And so a typical day I would land in a country, look around, figure out where I was, and, do they speak Spanish here? Because I can speak Spanish. And then really just go to the office, meet the team, meet usually the chief executive officer, the chief financial officer, and the chief trading officer of that market, and then get to work auditing revenue.
Ask what
Auditing is really verifying. So there are internal audits and also financial audits. So in an accounting firm, they do audits of companies' financial statements, so that a company can't just put together financial statements, which tells you how many assets do they have, what kind of obligations and liabilities do they have, how much equity do they have. So in order to prevent fraud and false financials, accounting firms and accountants come in and they verify that the numbers are right. So what I was doing, because I was an internal employee, and I was verifying that we were following guidelines according to contracts, we were doing the right thing in the market, we were recording things correctly in the financial statements so that they were right. So it involved a lot of, reading contracts, talking to people about deals, understanding local regulations, and then just making sure that we were doing things the right way, because if you get caught doing the right things not the right way, you can get into a lot of trouble. So definitely the accounting function, because what I would do is request the financial statements for that market. So I would say, hey, give me their financials. And anything that looked kind of strange or funny, we would ask them to give the detail for. Legal, because every market is different. There's rules and regulations around how you're allowed to contract, what your relationship is with media vendors like television stations and newspapers and magazines. So we would work closely with legal. There's a group called trading. So they're the group that makes the deals and works with media vendors and clients. So we would work closely with them too. My first job, I worked at Canoe Brook Country Club in the halfway house. So there were a lot of crazy adventures there, but I would, serve lunch to whatever the golfers as they were coming through. In college, I waitressed and bartended at a restaurant in Summit. And then I also worked at a small media agency in Berkeley Heights. So that actually was my first intro to the world of media and advertising. So, no. I tried as hard as I could to not be an accountant, and I was not a declared major going into my senior year of college, so I went to the business school, and the only option of getting a business degree was to declare an accounting major. So I was a reluctant accounting major, and then I got my first job in public accounting after graduation in New York City at a mid-sized accounting firm, and I worked there for a couple of years. And it just wasn't what I wanted to do. I started studying for the CPA exam, and it was just a nightmare. And I said, I don't want to be an accountant. And then I was looking for my next role, and actually there was an accounting role at the Donna Karan Company, which was like high fashion at the time. It was like amazing. It was so exciting because it was before they went public. So I took that role, and it was different than auditing and public accounting because I was working in the accounting department of Donna Karan. So I had the most amazing opportunity to work with people there, and I was assigned to manage the financial statements for 2 of the groups. One was the women's black label, like the very high-end luxury clothing line, and then also the high-end accessories line. But I worked with Angela Arendts very closely with her, and she went on to become the CEO of Burberry and also the VP of retail at Apple, and she is one of my incredible role models. So I was there for a while, but then there was nowhere to really go from that point. So I left Donna Karan, and then there was a role at Ferragamo, which is luxury Italian goods. So I said, I have great clothes, and now I'm gonna have great shoes and handbags. And I was there, and again, like a privately held company, not many places to go. I had finally passed the CPA exam. I took it a lot of times because I was a reluctant accountant, and I had finally passed, but I needed some more experience to get licensed as a certified public accountant. And that's when I took the role at Ernst & Young, and I wound up being there for 15 years and moving up and getting promoted to partner in 2009. I just had my 4th child, and I was the only female partner in Ernst & Young, in that practice.
What a great path.
So it's kind of crazy. Absolutely. So everybody thinks accounting is, sitting at a desk with a calculator, or you're sitting in a cubicle by yourself and you're just crunching numbers, and that is so not what it is. You can audit financial statements, you can audit process, you can consult, and you can travel the world and meet so many people, and there's so many roles in accounting. You can either choose to be working on your own if that's your personality and doing the same things every month, because you could close the books, and if you're happy to be just a controller, you can do that. Or you could work in consulting and accounting and just, work at any company. Every company needs accountants. Working at a mid-sized firm as opposed to like a huge kind of EY firm, I learned tax. I learned auditing. I learned how small businesses work and also how big businesses work. I literally would walk down 34th Street to this tiny little leather jacket store, Surrey's Leather. I'll never forget it. Surrey was like a 6.5-foot tall Indian man who was the funniest, nicest, kindest guy, and I would literally go down there. He kept millions of dollars under his mattress, and he kept everything in like a notebook. So he was our client, and I had to walk down 34th Street. Hi, Surrey. He'd always give me like a drink, and I'd try on some coats. And then I would pick up the book, and I would walk back to the office, and I would put it into a system, and we would create his financials for him and yell at him for keeping cash in his mattress. So I did that, but then I also worked I did the audit of an oil and gas company. So then I, went and traveled, and I saw like a big company and how it works, and I audited, cash and those kind of things. And then I did the tax returns for the dairy farm of Jackie Kennedy's husband, Aristotle Onassis, for his whole family. They had so much accounting, and they had all these trusts and all these things, so I got to do the trust tax returns for the dairy farms or something insane. So I learned so many different things. I met so many different kinds of people, and it really was, you got to do a lot more things than working for a big firm. If you are working at a big firm, so right now there's the big 4 accounting firms, Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, and KPMG. In order to get promoted past a certain level there, you have to get a certification. So in order to make manager, you have to have some letters next to your name. So the most common, and if you're an auditor, it has to be a CPA, so Certified Public Accountant. It's a very hard exam, and then you have to keep up with your credits every year, and that's really what the requirement is. But you could be a certified internal auditor. I'm also a certified management accountant. You could be a certified fraud investigator, those kind of things. But if you want to work at a big firm and actually do audit, or if you want to have your own business and hang your sign with your name on it outside, you have to be a CPA. It's provided me an opportunity to meet so many people and see how so many businesses work. And as part of a role as a partner at Ernst & Young, you're required to give back to the community. So I was on the board of the All-Stars Project of New Jersey in Newark, and it provides opportunities for underserved youth. And that was an amazing program. So as you move up, and a lot of companies now are socially conscious and trying to do things like volunteer days and those kind of things. So they try to give back to the community where they work. So that's been a great benefit. But in terms of being an accountant, you know, the requirement is, if you're working in a busy season, which is usually audit season. Typically, if a company has financial statements that end December 31st, busy season is usually January to April. Or if there's tax season, it's the same after taxes. But and you know, it's a lot of hours, it's a lot of long days, and it's a lot of commitment. So you know, it will bleed into other parts of your life, but it's just a matter of prioritizing. And if you enjoy what you do and you enjoy the people that you're with, then it doesn't feel like work. So, but I'm not going to say that accounting, you don't pay your dues, because you sure do pay your dues. I'd say the best thing about my job for me at my level now, because now I'm in global roles, is travel. And, you know, seeing how companies operate in all countries around the world, and everybody does it differently, and it's really just been fascinating to meet people and just see how life works so differently than, you know, right here. Especially in New York. If New York is your base, I mean, New York is an intense place. So it's kind of funny, like when, like an example is when I would be in the office late at Ernst & Young, like the cleaning in New York, typically the cleaning people come through offices around 10, 11 o'clock at night. I was in the office once in Buffalo, 5:30. The cleaning people came through because everybody was in at 5 o'clock. But, you know, in New York, everybody's still there 9, 10 o'clock at night. So, and then very interesting, even some countries of the world, like there are legal rules around how long you can work, how many hours you can work. So God bless France, like, they're like, well, you can't work more than this many hours, you know, in a week. So they were gone. They had lovely, like they took a full hour for lunch. Everyone eats together. I mean, New York is, you eat at your desk like slamming a sandwich down by yourself, and it's so it's been really interesting to see how people operate. Accounting is technical. So if you want to be viewed as kind of a technical accountant, there's you know, you can be an operational accountant and understand accounting, but there are very technical rules and they're always changing. So I think staying on top of the technical accounting, and every year I'm licensed in New York State and New Jersey, so you're required to complete continuing ed credits every year. So for New Jersey it's 20 a year, but in a 3-year period it has to be 120. So I'm in year 3 right now of my continuing ed cycle, and I'm probably short about 85 credits. So sometime between now and December, I'm going to really have to sit down and take a lot of classes and get those credits. So I wish I knew that accounting wasn't just technical auditing and that's it. There's so much more that you don't have to be technical. You could just be smart. And even, you know, the CFO role that I'm going to be stepping into is very strategic. So it's over like 60 companies that are all operating different ways. So we have to, and they're all doing things differently. They're on different systems. So I really have to drive the process around how do we bring everyone together, how do we right-size this business, how do we make sure we have the right people, but also like what I want to do more than the job is influence and impact. So there aren't that many professional mothers of 5 that are the breadwinner of the family that people can look to if I'm a young woman and I'm going to, you know, look to work Many times I like to say, if she can see it, she can be it. Because many women I've seen over my 30-year career, they get to a certain level and they say, I don't know how I could possibly get married and do this job, or have a baby and do this job, but there's always an answer. So that's the benefit of being in a role where, you know, you can help support that, because most companies, you know, their entry-level staff, it's 50 or 60% women, especially professional services firms. But as you move up, it gets less and less, and then at the partner level, it's getting better now, so it's 18%. So what's happening? So I'm always a proponent of supporters of, you know, those people that are not represented at the top. So it's beyond just the technical accounting. It's just all the experience that you gain over the years. So you move across your career from being a technical expert and technical to more strategic and thoughtful and leadership. So I would say, you know, get your accounting degree and pass your CPA exam as soon as possible. I feel very strongly that if you're going to put the time in to be an accounting major and get an accounting degree, that you have to have those letters next to your name. Because to be an accountant without having that certification, I think it just takes away from the perception of people will have that, why didn't you put the time in and the energy? It's hard. It's a very hard exam. They say it's harder than the bar exam. It's a lot of studying. It will knock you on your butt, but so worth it. So worth it. So get it, take it as soon as possible. Because after you get out of school, to go back and try to study for things is not fun. Not fun. Any of the websites for the big 4 accounting firms, and when I was interviewing from college, it was the big 8. Now it's down to 4. They all kind of joined together, and who knows what's going to happen. I would definitely go to the websites of PwC, EY, Deloitte, or KPMG, and just go through, look at their practices, look at where they're global. I think those are the best, and I never would have gotten a job there out of college. I was not, you know, a shining star accountant. I was a reluctant accountant, but somehow I made my way back and made partner there. But I would start there and then look at all the opportunities: tax, real estate, mergers and acquisitions, auditing, consulting, and start there.